Log entry, day 77. The recorder light glimmers softly, and I let my words drift into its patience. The ship has entered a new system, one that feels untouched, unmeasured, waiting in its own stillness. A small sun burns at its center, pale and quiet, casting light that spills like silk across the hull. The glow is neither harsh nor dim, only balanced, as if the star itself has learned the art of restraint. Orbiting it are several worlds, each holding its own radiance. They do not blaze as Earth once did in daylight, nor do they lie dark and lifeless. Instead, they glow with hushed presence, like lanterns veiled behind paper, each one offering light softly, tenderly, in its own way. I reduce the ship's speed, letting the vessel drift as if it too wishes to linger. Through the observation port, the starfield frames this gathering of worlds like jewels strung upon a thread. Their orbits are wide and patient, each turning with deliberate calm, no rush to circle their sun. The first that catches my eye is a sphere wrapped in mist. Its outline blurs gently, never sharp, as though the planet wishes to keep its secrets half hidden. The light it gives is pale, almost silver, diffused through its shroud. It reminds me of Earth's mornings, when fog lay across fields and hills, softening everything it touched. Another world gleams deeper blue, shimmering with reflections that ripple like water beneath moonlight. Even from this distance, I sense fluidity, endless movement disguised as stillness. Its glow calls to memory the oceans of home, shorelines where waves breathe upon sand in steady rhythm, harbors where water cradled boats in quiet sway. Further still, an ember sphere turns slowly, its surface carrying faint lines of molten glow. From here, the fire does not rage. It rests, like coals within a hearth, steady and unthreatening. A warmth remembered rather than a flame consuming. And farthest, stretching wide across the system, lies a giant wrapped in pale rings. They shine faintly, a silver halo that arcs endlessly around it, catching starlight in a whisper. The sight is grand, but it does not boast. It is calm, eternal, like a reminder of cycles that never break.
I sit in silence, letting the view carry me. Each world holds its own glow, not loud, not demanding, but hushed, an invitation to see, to breathe, to rest in its presence. The ship hums softly as though agreeing, its steady rhythm blending with the quiet of the system. My words too become slower, guided by the calm outside. This is not a place to rush through. It is a place to linger, to let the glow of worlds reveal themselves one by one. And so I record this entry not as a chart of discovery, but as a meditation on presence, a new system, a quiet star, and worlds that do not shine to be seen, but to exist in their own unhurried light. The first world draws me closer, a pale planet swathed in mist. From orbit, its surface is never clear, always hidden beneath shifting veils that drift and fold upon themselves. The glow it gives is subtle, almost fragile, like the reflection of moonlight on frosted glass. I steady the ship and watch. The mist moves as if it breathes, swelling and fading, a pulse too slow to measure, but present nonetheless. It feels less like weather and more like a rhythm, the whole planet exhaling light and then drawing it back in, a hushed presence unbroken by storms, unhurried by time. The sight brings me to memories of Earth's fog-draped mornings. I remember stepping out onto fields where the grass bent under dew, the horizon vanished, and the world felt smaller, closer, as though it were holding itself in. Footsteps softened, voices hushed, every sound absorbed into the veil. There was comfort in that, an intimacy created by obscurity. The veiled sphere carries the same intimacy. Its surface remains unknowable, yet it does not repel. It welcomes by concealment, inviting me to rest in what I cannot see. The glow of the mist is enough. It does not need detail or clarity.
I watch for long minutes, tracing the folds of light as they shift. The mist catches the faint rays of its star and scatters them gently, never harsh. At times, the surface hints through, shadows of ridges, faint shapes of valleys, but before I can grasp them, they fade back beneath the shroud. The mystery never resolves, and perhaps it is not meant to. I think of walking through a fog on Earth, how the familiar became unknown, yet never frightening. A tree that stood every day outside a window could appear as a stranger when wrapped in mist. But the change was gentle, never violent. It asked the eyes to soften, the mind to pause, the heart to listen more carefully. This planet speaks in the same way. Its veil is not a wall, but a softness. It blurs edges, slows perception, teaches patience. I feel my breathing match its rhythm, slow in, slow out, as though I too am wrapped in its hush. The logged light blinks steadily, recording every word, but I know that no description will capture the feeling fully. Some sights are not for explanation, but for presence. To watch a world veil itself in light is to be reminded that clarity is not always the gift. Sometimes the gift is concealment, the freedom to rest without knowing. I linger a while longer, allowing the glow of the mist to settle inside me. Then I adjust the course, the engines sighing softly, carrying me onward. The veiled sphere recedes into distance, but its impression remains. A memory of light that breathes, of calm hidden within obscurity, of comfort found not in what is revealed, but in what is gently concealed. As the ship drifts forward, another glow begins to rise ahead, a world shimmering deep blue, alive with reflections that dance like water beneath a star. The ship drifts onward, and the next world comes into view. From afar, it is a sphere of liquid light, glowing in hues of blue so deep they seem to absorb the surrounding stars. As I draw closer,
The surface reveals itself, an endless ocean, smooth and unbroken, turning slowly under the pale sun.
The light here is different. It is not scattered or veiled, but reflected. The star's glow touches the water and scatters across its surface, breaking into countless fragments that shimmer and merge again. Waves roll in slow procession, each crest catching a gleam, each trough holding a softer glow. The entire planet becomes a mirror, breathing light in patterns that shift yet remain timeless. I steady the ship at a gentle orbit and watch. The view is hypnotic, a canvas that changes with every ripple, every tilt of reflection. The silence of space is answered here by the silence of water, vast, unbroken, endlessly calm. It reminds me of Earth's oceans at dusk, standing on a shoreline where the tide eased in and out, listening to the hush of waves collapsing into foam, watching the horizon soften into night. The water always seemed to speak in its own language then, not in words, but in rhythm, a steady pulse that soothed without explanation. The crystal blue carries that same rhythm, though here it is magnified to planetary scale. Its waves do not break, they roll endlessly, each motion unhurried, each gleam of light a reminder that rest can exist even in perpetual movement. As I gaze, I imagine drifting upon its surface in a small vessel, feeling the rise and fall beneath me. I picture lying back and watching the sky of this world, one star above, one ocean below, the two reflecting each other until horizon and water become indistinguishable. To float there would be to surrender completely, to be carried by water as vast as silence itself. The log light blinks softly, and I let my thoughts wander further. Water has always been a companion to rest. The trickle of a stream through stones, the stillness of a lake at night, broken only by insects brushing its surface, the steady rain against a roof, blurring the edges of sound and thought. Each carries the same gift, the power to cradle, to soften, to slow.
The crystal blue is all of these woven together, a whole world devoted to the language of water, speaking in glimmers and sways. Its glow is not loud, not demanding. It rests quietly, offering its presence to any who pause to see. I wonder if beneath its endless ocean lies any land at all, or if it is pure water to its very core. The thought does not bring unease. Instead, it carries peace, as if the very absence of ground were a reminder that sometimes stability is not in solid earth, but in gentle surrender. My breathing has slowed without my noticing, matched to the imagined rhythm of its waves. Inhale as the water rises, exhale as it falls. The ship hums in quiet agreement, its system steady, its motion smooth. For a moment, I feel as though the vessel itself is floating upon that ocean, lulled into calm by its shimmer. I remain in orbit longer than I intend, reluctant to turn away. The crystal blue does not ask me to leave, nor does it ask me to stay. It simply continues, rolling, gleaming, glowing, offering its endless rhythm to the void.
At last I adjust course, the engines sighing faintly as the planet drifts behind me. Its glow remains, reflected in memory, as steady as the tides it carries. Ahead, another world glimmers faintly, not with the coolness of water, but with the warmth of hidden fire. A sphere that glows like embers beneath ash, steady, hushed, alive. The next world turns slowly into view, and its glow is unlike the others. Where the veiled sphere breathed in mist and the crystal blue shimmered with water, this one carries the quiet of fire, steady, restrained, yet unmistakable. Its surface is dark, shadowed, but traced with lines of molten light. Rivers of orange and red wind across plains of black stone, glowing faintly like veins of warmth beneath cooled skin. At intervals, calderas glimmer with a deeper glow, as if embers rest within their hollow hearts. From this distance, there is no violence, no eruption, only the soft burn of a world that has chosen to glow quietly rather than roar.
I adjust the ship's course to a wider orbit, giving the sphere room to breathe. Its firelight pulses steadily, never hurried, never fading, the rhythm of coals kept alive through the long night. The glow reminds me of hearth fires on Earth, when flames died low and left only embers. Their warmth lingered, comforting in its restraint. I remember sitting beside such fires, the room hushed, the air carrying the faint scent of wood smoke. Flames flickered softly, casting shadows that moved but never startled. In their presence, conversation slowed. Voices dropped to whispers until even words seemed unnecessary. The fire did not demand attention, it offered it, quietly, generously. This ember sphere feels the same. Its light is not a blaze, not a warning, but a reminder of warmth that persists even in solitude. It glows to say, the night may be vast, but within it there is still heat, still presence, still calm. I imagine standing upon its surface, though I know I never will. To walk beside those rivers of molten stone, to feel the warmth radiating into the thin air, to hear the faint crackle of rock cooling at the edges. I would carry no fear, only reverence, for here fire is not destructive, it is sustaining, an ancient rhythm held steady through ages. The log blinks, and I let my words flow softer now. Fire has always been a companion to humanity. From the first spark struck against stone to the last candle lit in a quiet room, flame has carried us through shadows, not by banishing the dark, but by dwelling within it, small and steady. I think of candles set in windows on cold nights, their light a signal of home, of campfires circled by travelers, stories rising into the air with smoke and sparks, of lanterns held close while walking a path through woods, their glow enough to make each step sure. Each memory carries the same truth. Warmth and light, however small, are enough. The ember sphere glows with that same truth, though on a scale beyond imagining. It burns not in defiance, but in patience. It reminds me that warmth is not always found in brightness. It can be found in the soft persistence of embers holding steady through long silence. I watch as the planet turns, its rivers of fire curving slowly, spilling into the dark beyond the horizon. The sight is mesmerizing, but it does not stir urgency. It soothes, like watching the last coals of a fire in the hearth, glowing faintly in the stillness before sleep. My hands rest lightly on the console, and I find myself breathing in rhythm again. Inhale with the glow, exhale with the shadow. The ship hums, steady as ever, carrying me onward. The ember sphere recedes gradually, its warmth lingering even as its light diminishes. I know its glow will remain with me, a reminder that in the vast cold of the void there are still embers burning, quiet, patient, eternal. Ahead, another form emerges from the darkness. A giant world encircled by rings so wide they seem to stretch across the stars themselves. Their glow is pale, silvery, hushed like frozen dust shimmering in silence. The ship drifts onward, and the vast shape of a giant world rises before me. Its presence fills the observation port until even the star behind it seems small. The planet itself is deep and shadowed, a sphere of muted color, but it is the rings that draw me in. Wide, endless arcs of pale light encircling the world like a halo. They shimmer softly, not in brilliance, but in hushed glow. Countless particles of ice and dust catch the faint rays of the sun and scatter them, creating a silver veil that stretches outward into the void. From this distance, the rings appear smooth, like brushstrokes painted across the black canvas of space. I slow the vessel further, letting it drift parallel to their curve. The rings extend farther than the mind can hold, their arcs sweeping into distance until they vanish into shadow. Their presence is not loud, yet it commands silence, as though even the void itself pauses to listen. It brings to mind nights on Earth when I lay in fields far from cities, staring at the Milky Way spread across the sky. Stars formed their own shimmering band above me, countless and unmeasured, stretching across the horizon. Those nights held the same stillness, the same reminder of vastness, yet carried in a form so gentle that the heart could rest in it.
The silent rings feel like that, an echo of the sky itself, wrapped around a single world. They are not here to dazzle, not here to intimidate. They are here to endure, to trace their endless path again and again, marking cycles older than memory. I imagine drifting among them, passing close to each frozen shard, each stone and crystal tumbling slowly in orbit. The silence there would be immense, broken only by the faint collision of fragments, a sound too soft to reach this distance. To walk upon those rings would be like walking upon a dream, each step scattering light, each breath drawn from silence itself. The log light flickers as I record, and I let my voice soften further. The rings remind me that presence can be both grand and quiet. They are vast beyond comprehension, yet they speak only in whispers, never demanding, never rushing. Cycles endure here. Dust becomes ice,
Ice becomes light, light fades into shadow, only to gleam again. Time itself seems to flow differently, stretched wide, unhurried, patient. I think of the cycles I once knew on Earth, the turning of seasons, the rhythm of tides, the rising and setting of the moon. Each carried the same lesson. Nothing is lost, everything returns, all in its own time. The silent rings teach that same lesson now. Their glow is the glow of continuity, of motion that never ends, of calm that never breaks. Watching them, I feel the weight of years lighten, as though time itself were smoothing, flowing more gently around me. The ship hums softly, steady as always, but even its presence feels smaller here, humbled by the quiet grandeur of the rings. I allow myself to sit without thought, only watching, only breathing, letting the arc of light fill my vision until nothing else remains. Eventually, the orbit carries me onward. The giant recedes, its rings fading into distance, leaving behind their impression. They linger like a memory of music, notes still echoing after the song has ended. Ahead, the system begins to dim. The glow of the worlds fades behind me, leaving the quiet star and the endless black beyond. It is time to prepare the ship and myself for rest.
The system begins to fall away behind me, the star shrinking, its glow dimming into the sea of black. The worlds I passed, mist-veiled, water shimmered, ember glowing, and ringed in silver, each leave their presence within me. Their lights linger, even as distance folds them into memory. I move quietly through the cabin, setting the vessel into its night routine. Instruments shift into standby, their glow softening to faint pulses. Panels hum with steadiness, like a lullaby that has always been playing, simply waiting for me to notice. My hands move slowly, unhurried, as though the calm of the worlds has taught me how to mirror their patience. I pause by the observation port, gazing once more into the void. Stars glimmer faintly, scattered like distant embers, but in my mind I still see the glow of the system. The veiled sphere breathing silver mist, the crystal blue shimmering like an endless tide, the ember sphere glowing steady as a hearth, the silent rings spanning eternity with their hush of light. Each world was different, yet all carried the same truth, that light can be gentle, quiet, unassuming, and still hold immeasurable presence. I think of how Earth carried such lights too, lanterns strung across streets on festival nights, oceans reflecting moonlight in shifting ripples, fires burning low in hearths after long evenings, stars above tracing arcs the way rings now do around distant giants. The universe, in its endlessness, seems to echo itself, each world a reflection of another, each glow a reminder of home. The ship drifts steady, the hum blending with my breath. I feel the weight of my body ease as I move into the berth. Straps fasten lightly, holding me with gentle embrace. The cradle folds around me, weightless but secure, as though I am being held not only by fabric,
but by the quiet glow of all I have seen tonight. I dim the last lights. The cabin softens into near darkness, save for faint glimmers of instruments. My gaze lingers on them, small points of light keeping vigil, like lanterns, like stars, like embers refusing to fade. I record one file line into the log, my voice barely above a whisper. The glow of worlds lingers, carrying me gently into night. The recorder light blinks once, steady, and then stills. Silence remains. Eyes closed, I drift into the hush. The glow remains within me, not seen but felt. Mist, water, fire, and ice, each carries me into dreams, each a lantern in the endless dark. And so, under the hushed glow of worlds, I rest.